I've owned more than 20 Apple devices, from the MacBook, iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and AirPods. But which Apple devices actually help you streamline your workflow and become more productive? And which devices are really well-designed distractions that will actually slow you down? So in this video, I'm ranking all my Apple devices on a productivity tier list and basically ranking them on whether or not they actually help me get more work done. Here's how I've structured the tier list. S tier, essential productivity powerhouse. A tier, excellent productivity tools. B tier, a good addition to productivity. C tier, occasional productivity boost. And D tier, procrastination device. Starting with the AirPods Pro. So most people see AirPods as just wireless earbuds for music and calls, but they've become one of my most important productivity tools. I use them about 4 hours a day and they're always in my pocket. The active noise cancellation is such an underrated feature when it comes to productivity, mainly because I frequently work in coffee shops and the ANC creates an instant bubble of focus, essentially. So when the environment gets noisy, instead of packing up or struggling to concentrate, I just keep working like I'm in my own private office because the AirPods block out about 90% of external noise. But what truly elevates them is their integration with the Apple ecosystem. So when I get a call while working on my MacBook, my AirPods automatically connect to my iPhone, and when the call ends and I go back to watching a video on my MacBook, they seamlessly switch back, so no manual reconnection required. Now, this might seem minor, but when you're switching between devices 10 to 20 times daily, it does eliminate a lot of friction. Transparency mode is surprisingly useful for productivity too. So sometimes you need to be aware of your surroundings. Maybe you're waiting for a delivery, or you need to hear when a colleague approaches you. So this mode lets you stay connected to your work while remaining aware of your environment. The spatial audio features reduces listening fatigue during longer work sessions. So instead of sound pumping directly into your ears, it feels like it's coming from all around you, allowing for longer, comfortable use. All the Apple devices I own, the AirPods Pro deliver the biggest productivity boost relative to their size and cost. They're portable, they're versatile, and they create the perfect work environment wherever I go. So that's why they absolutely deserve their place in the S tier. Also, if you agree with me, feel free to let me know in the comments. It's all my personal opinion, but I'd love to hear how you would rank your own Apple devices within your own daily workflow. When I bought the MacBook about 4 years ago now, it completely transformed how I work. I was using a Dell XPS 13 before, so a solid Windows laptop, but the M1 MacBook Pro changed everything. Unlike typical yearly upgrades with marginal improvements, the M1 chip, which is now quite old at 4 years old, delivered both exceptional performance and extraordinary battery life simultaneously. But what I love the most about this device is that 4 years later, the MacBook still runs as fast as the day I bought it. I've never experienced this kind of longevity with any Windows laptop. Usually, they start slowing down after a year or two, but this MacBook has maintained its performance despite daily use. Beyond raw performance, the integration with other Apple devices makes it the command center of my productivity system. I can instantly access photos from my iPhone, use my iPad as a second screen with a single click, and copy text on my phone and paste it directly onto my laptop. So these seem, and they are, quite small time savings, but they do add up throughout the day. The build quality, as you'd expect, is exceptional. The keyboard feels satisfying to type on, the display is bright and vivid, the speakers are incredible for a laptop. My only complaint, and you'll be able to see this yourself, is the keys wear down faster than expected, giving the keyboard a kind of a slightly greasy appearance over time. It's not grease, you can see it with the lighting kind of shining off. It's not grease, it's just that keys have worn down. It's starting to look a little bit old, which I feel could have been fixed very easily with just having better quality keys. But for anyone serious about productivity, the MacBook Pro is an absolute no-brainer. The combination of lasting performance, battery life, and seamless ecosystem integration makes it worth every penny. It's the foundation of my productivity productivity system, no question, it earns its spot in the S tier. After the MacBook, the iPhone became my daily assistant, keeping me on track throughout the day. So the iPhone was, I think, my second Apple product that I ever bought. But is it truly essential for productivity, or is it just convenient? So the two productivity apps I use most frequently are Apple Reminders and Apple Calendar. I've used task lists religiously for over a decade because they eliminate the decision fatigue that comes with wondering, what should I do next? And having my task list as a widget on my home screen means I always know what needs my attention. Similarly, my calendar is crucial for managing 2 to 6 meetings daily. With 15-minute reminder notifications, I never miss an appointment. The ability to scroll right and see my health data, sleep information, and workout tracking keeps all my kind of essential information accessible at a glance. But what makes these features really powerful is how they sync across all my Apple devices. So when I add a task on my iPhone, it instantly appears on my MacBook. And when a call comes in, I can answer on any device. The seamless handoff means I spend less time managing my technology and more time getting real work done. For anyone who manages a busy schedule or needs to stay connected while maintaining focus, the iPhone is an essential productivity tool that essentially acts as the perfect complement to the MacBook. After extensive use, I think it probably belongs in the S tier alongside the MacBook Pro and the AirPods Pro. Next up is the Apple Mouse. So I ignored all of the negative reviews about this device and I bought it anyway. The charging port on the bottom, making it impossible to use while charging, the poor ergonomic design, and the fact that it hasn't been significantly upgraded since 2009, all red flags, and I dismissed them. Like many consumers, I thought it's an Apple product, it's probably quite good. I was wrong. While I can overlook the design choices and oddly placed charging port, the mouse's accuracy is what really annoyed me. When I need to click on a small target, like closing a Chrome tab, it takes noticeably longer than it should. Even with pointer acceleration enabled in the settings, it's nowhere near as precise as my old Logitech Anywhere 3. Honestly, it's by far the biggest disappointment among all my Apple products on this list. And it's kind of weird because why Apple hasn't given it a proper redesign after 16 years, I'm not quite sure. If productivity is your goal, this mouse could possibly just slow you down, which is why it lands squarely in the D tier of my rankings. I actually use a Logitech Anywhere 2S mouse for daily use, and for me, it's even better than the newer Logitech Anywhere 3 because it has better build quality, better materials, and more buttons and features. I actually did a whole review on it and I'll link it in the pop-out banner above if you want to check that out. So this mouse really does help with productivity as opposed to using my laptop touchpad. Maybe using this mouse will only speed my workflow up by like, I don't know, 1 or 2 or 3%. Speaking of trackpads, next is the Apple Trackpad. So after my disappointing experience with the Apple mouse, I decided to try the Apple Trackpad and it was way better, like straight away. The Magic Trackpad's glass surface provides silky smooth resistance, making every gesture precise. The entire surface is clickable, no more kind of aiming for specific buttons. But what makes this device special, I feel, is the gestures transform essentially your workflow. So you can pinch to zoom, 3-finger swipe between apps, 4-finger swipe for the app overview, and these movements become second nature within a few days or a couple of weeks. They do really help speed up your workflow. There are downsides though. Precision for single pixel tasks can be challenging. The glass surface does collect fingerprints, especially on the matte black version, and it requires more desk space than a mouse. And yes, the price is relatively steep for what you get. But these specific use cases and benefits balanced against its limitations earn the Apple Trackpad a solid place in the B tier of my productivity rankings. If you disagree, if you agree, let me know in the comments. Saying that, like I said earlier, I do still opt for the Logitech Anywhere 2S mouse over the Trackpad or the Magic Mouse. Just my personal experience. Next, we have the iPad mini. So when I added this device to my collection, I had high hopes. After getting the MacBook and then the iPhone, the iPad mini seemed like it would be kind of a perfect middle ground between the two devices and kind of complete the productivity setup. But did it live up to my expectations? Yes and no. So firstly, the iPad mini is really powerful. It's well designed. It's extremely useful for the right person. But for my particular workflow, I just struggle to find tasks where it really excels, right? So I do use use it occasionally in specific situations. So when meeting with clients or in team discussions, pulling out a laptop can feel like putting up a barrier between me and the person I'm talking to. The iPad mini with the Apple Pencil is perfect for taking kind of like quick notes in these scenarios. It just feels more natural, like having a notepad, but with all the benefits of digital. My notes instantly sync to my MacBook and iPhone, and I can easily share them after meetings via AirDrop. The second way I use the iPad mini is as a second screen for my Sony DSLR when filming videos. It is very laggy, so you can see that it's not matching up with how I'm talking, but it is actually really useful because the screen on my camera is really small relative to this. So I can make sure that I'm in the middle, that I'm in focus, and even though it is very laggy, it is actually still quite useful. However, outside of these specific use cases, I find myself naturally gravitating towards either my MacBook for serious work or my iPhone for quick tasks. The iPad mini sits in this middle ground where it's not quite as portable as my phone and not quite as powerful or convenient as my laptop. So while it integrates beautifully with my other Apple devices, I simply just don't reach for it as much as I wish I would, which is why it ends up in the C tier of my productivity rankings. Next is the iPad Pro. So this immediately captures your attention with the stunning screen. The Liquid Retina XDR display makes everything from documents to videos look incredibly crisp and vibrant. The speakers deliver rich, room-filling sound that transform it into a really good entertainment device. The ecosystem integration is seamless. You can drag files between the iPad and MacBook using universal control. You can use it as a second screen with Sidecar or instantly airdrop files to any other Apple device. But here's the interesting part of my journey with this device. When I first got my iPad Pro back in probably 2020 now, I used it daily for about 6 months, but gradually I found myself using it less and less. I naturally gravitated towards my MacBook for serious work that requires deep focus. The full keyboard, the desktop apps, and traditional computer interface just works better for my productivity workflow, and for quick tasks on the go, my phone is amazing for those. So the iPad Pro kind of ended in this middle ground, neither as efficient as my MacBook nor as convenient as the iPhone. So I didn't end up using it in the end. That said, it does excel in very specific tasks like taking notes with the Apple Pencil, reviewing documents, and serving as a second screen for a MacBook if you're an artist or designer or someone who specifically needs a touch-based interface with Apple Pencil support. The iPad Pro could be perfect for your workflow and might even qualify for a higher tier, but for my needs, I place the iPad Pro in the B tier of my ranking, useful for specific tasks, but not essential in my opinion. When I first considered buying an Apple Watch, I was skeptical. Would it just be another screen constantly demanding my attention, or another device to manage and charge? The reality surprised me though. During the first week with my watch, my iPhone screen time dropped significantly because I wasn't pulling out my phone nearly as much. With the cellular model, I can leave my phone behind and still stay connected to what matters. I still get important calls and messages, but crucially, there's no social media temptation. It functions like a productivity filter on my wrist. The focus modes transformed my work sessions entirely. When I'm in deep work mode, my watch automatically adjusts its settings. No notifications except emergencies. A simplified watch face showing only time and focus duration, and it syncs these settings across all my devices. My watch, MacBook, and iPad all enter focus mode simultaneously, eliminating distractions across the board. The sleep tracking has also improved my workday in unexpected ways. So I used to think I was getting enough sleep. I wasn't. My watch showed me that on days with less than about 6 to 7 hours sleep, my productivity tanked in the afternoon, and now I can see patterns in my sleep quality and how they affect my work the next day. But where the Apple Watch was truly helpful is with my fitness, which directly impacts my productivity. So early last year, I decided to finally take my health more seriously. So I started running, I started swimming, I started cycling and strength training every day, and training for my first first Ironman 70.3 triathlon, which I just completed about 2 or 3 weeks ago, the Apple Watch helps with tracking workouts, but then it's like, why would you want to track your workouts? For me, it's really important because I'm training for another triathlon and a couple of marathons this year and next year. And so it's important that I keep track of exactly what workouts I'm doing and when. My Apple Watch is connected to Strava, and I have basically a history of all the workouts I've done over the last few months, which is helpful to see if I'm, for example, overdoing running or not cycling enough or not swimming enough. And I can make better data-based decisions when it comes to my training. For me, my fitness directly correlates with my productivity. The more exercise I do, the more productive I am. My Apple Watch does help with productivity, but at the same time, it's not quite as helpful as my AirPods or my MacBook or my iPhone. So I'll drop it in the B tier. If you disagree with me, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments. So next is the AirPods Max. So when you first pick up the AirPods Max, two things stand out immediately. Firstly, how well built they are, and secondly, how heavy they are. These things are expensive, $500 for a pair of headphones. Do they justify the hefty price tag when it comes to productivity? I'm not quite sure. So these headphones take active noise cancellation to another level entirely. When you need to get into deep focus mode, they create an almost eerily quiet environment. Coffee shop noise, office chatter, even the sound of an airplane engine, they all disappear. It's like stepping into your own private workspace, regardless of your surroundings. Their sound quality is, as you'd expect, exceptional, which matters more for productivity than you might think. When listening to music while working for hours, having clear, well-balanced audio does reduce listening fatigue. You can work longer without the kind of mental drain that comes with lower quality headphones. Like the AirPods Pro, they integrate seamlessly with the Apple ecosystem, automatically switching between devices based on what you're using. The digital crown provides precise control over volume and playback, which is satisfying to use. One of my favorite features is audio sharing. So if you're on a long flight and want to watch something with a partner, you can connect 2 pairs of AirPods to one device. So each person can control their own volume independently and the audio stays perfectly in sync. The battery life is quite good, around 20 hours with active noise cancellation enabled. They also automatically preserve battery when you set them down, thanks to built-in sensors that detect when they're not being worn. The spatial audio feature creates an immersive experience during video calls, making conversations feel slightly more natural and helping maintain focus. I wouldn't put them in the S tier. I would probably put them lower. The reason being portability. They're not pocket-friendly like the AirPods Pro, so when moving between meetings or heading to a coffee shop, I just feel like ultra portability is the way to go. The AirPods Max are very heavy. Even on your head, you can feel them, and you do get slight fatigue wearing them for long periods of time. So considering these limitations, I would put them in the A tier rather than the S tier for my productivity rankings. The HomePod. So the HomePods are often praised for its impressive sound quality, but that's not what we're evaluating here. The question is, how does it impact productivity? When I'm working on my MacBook and I want to kind of quickly set a reminder, I can just say, hey, remind me about the client presentation tomorrow at 9 a.m. And without breaking my workflow, the reminder instantly appears across all my devices. And this hands-free interaction lets me capture thoughts without shifting my focus. With AirPlay, I can beam whatever I'm listening to from any device to my HomePods. And if you have multiple HomePods throughout your home, you can start a podcast on your iPhone in the morning and seamlessly transfer it to different rooms as you move from room to room. When I sit down at my desk, one quick tap sends the audio to my office HomePod without missing a beat. My favorite feature though, which I can't use with just one HomePod, is multi-room audio. So with 2 or more HomePods, you can play the same music throughout your home as you move between rooms. This feature alone makes me consider getting a second HomePod, but after using it in my daily workflow for months, I've realized something important. While the HomePod has useful productivity features, they're just not essential to how I work. It's a nice to have that occasionally makes tasks more convenient, but not something that dramatically changes my productivity. And that's why I'm going to put it in the C tier of my productivity rankings. AirTags. When Apple first announced AirTags, they seemed like they might be the solution to a common productivity killer, wasting time looking for lost items. So I've been using them for about 3 years now, and the results have been mixed at best. So I keep one on my dog's collar for when he occasionally escapes through small holes in the dog park fence. Now, when this happens, I can open the Find My app. I play a sound to hear his location and I follow the direction indicator until I find him. I've also hidden AirTags on both my bikes in case they get stolen, potentially allowing me to track them down. I've also taken the speaker out of it as well. But there's a significant limitation that affects their reliability. AirTags rely on a network of nearby Apple devices to relay their location. So in remote areas or places with few iPhone users, they simply just don't work, and this makes them unreliable for crucial tracking needs. So what's the verdict when it comes to productivity? While AirTags can occasionally save time in very specific scenarios like finding keys before rushing to a meeting, they don't actually help me get more done on a daily basis. I'm gonna put them in the D tier of my productivity rankings. Next is the Apple polishing cloth. At first glance, this might seem like a joke entry in the productivity rankings. How could a cleaning cloth possibly impact how much you get done? But Apple's $19 cloth has become something of a meme in the tech community, so it deserves, I feel, a proper evaluation. The Apple polishing cloth stands out immediately with its thick, surprisingly thick, premium feeling material. Unlike typical thin microfiber cloths, it feels dense and durable, adding to the sense that you're getting something refined. It's specifically designed for Apple's displays and finishes, handling fingerprints, smudges, and dust as well, with less effort than cheap alternatives. Performance-wise, it does clean better than kind of cheaper generic options. It removes grime more effectively and leaves fewer strikes, especially on iPad, MacBook screens where clarity matters. However, the small Apple logo in the corner, subtle flex, does wear off over time, which feels disappointing considering the price. At $19, is it worth it? For most people, no. I mean, you can get 80 or 90% of the performance for a fraction of the cost. And when it comes to productivity impact, the marginal cleaning improvement doesn't translate to any meaningful workflow enhancement. While having a clean, clear screen is nice, it doesn't help with productivity. So that will fit in the D tier. Entertainment devices and productivity typically don't mix well, but the Apple TV 4K does offer some integration with the broader Apple ecosystem. So where does it land in terms of productivity value? You could probably guess where this lands. The integration with other Apple devices is, as expected, seamless. You can instantly play AirPlay content from your iPhone, your iPad, your MacBook to your TV. Your Apple Photos can display as your screensaver. You can quickly connect AirPods for private listening. The Siri remote is definitely premium, milled from aluminum for my American viewers, with a satisfying weight. The touch-sensitive ClickPad makes navigation smooth, and you can use Siri to search for content or control smart home devices. One nice feature is integration with the Apple Home app, allowing you to control smart home devices directly from your TV. And if you have HomePods, you can use them as TV speakers as well. Here's the reality. I primarily use Google TV, and comparing the two interfaces shows that while the Apple TV is more polished and aesthetically pleasing, when it comes to actually watching Netflix or Disney Plus or YouTube, the experience is just very similar. The premium design of the remote control and ecosystem integration doesn't really translate to meaningful productivity advantages, and from a productivity perspective, the Apple TV 4K is more likely to distract you from work rather than help you. It is fundamentally a consumption device after all, not a productivity tool. And that's why it lands in the D tier of my productivity rankings. And like I said earlier, let me know if you disagree with any of my rankings in the comments. I'm curious to hear how you would rank each of your Apple devices in your own daily workflow. If you like this video, I made another video recently where I reviewed almost every Apple product. You can click on this card here. Alternatively, in this video, I go through Apple's Genius, and it really is clever. 3-app productivity system using Apple Notes, reminders, and calendar apps. You can click on this card on the screen to watch that.